The Bell Center in Montreal set to host UFC 315 this weekend. Marks the 8th visit to Montreal, the first, though, since April of 2015. Pay-per-view features 2 title fights on the main card. Let's start with the main event, a welterweight bout between the champ Belal Muhammad and Jack Della Maddalena, where, remember the name, is making his first title defense. Muhammad on an 11-fight unbeaten streak, which is the 4th longest active streak in the UFC and the longest active streak in the welterweight division. Took care of Leon Edwards not too long ago. We've got Brian Campbell joining us here to break down UFC 315. So when we talk about the main event, how do you match up the champ and the challenger in this one?
Well, look, I talked to the champ himself, Belal Muhammad, just this past week, and he told me it's as simple as this. I'm fighting a tough fighter, but a one-dimensional fighter. And when he was talking about himself, Belal said, I bring everything to the table to drown him in the championship rounds. And it may be as simple as that when you look at it, right? Belal Muhammad is an accomplished grappler. He's done training with Khabib Nurmagomedov in recent years. He's leveled up his game huge. And, yeah, by the way, he can let those hands go. He calls them Canelo hands. On the flip side, Jack Della Maddalena is explosive. He's got some of the best boxing this welterweight division has seen for a while. But what does he have outside of that? And giving Belal's history of having some of the best cardio in this sport, of being a consistent 5-round machine, what does Jack Della look like if this fight hits those championship rounds and he is not in firm control? That's how they break down the well-rounded, underrated, pound-for-pound ranked champion in Belal against an explosive Jack Della Maddalena, who's not without questions, though, including a 14-month layoff and the fact that he's had some very, very close fights on his journey to get to this title shot.
Yeah, you mentioned JDM and Gilbert Burns. You mentioned, I think that was March of 2024, so it's been a little while. You mentioned the skill set. It was interesting to look at the tail of the tape because the measurables are basically equal, BC. So who do you like in the fight?
I still like Belal Muhammad here, and I was late to the party on really recognizing the true intangible skills that he brings to the table. Because if you watch him on tape, his critics will call him boring, but he's a little bit more than that. He's a complete fighter who knows how to win close fights. He's going to be 37, by the way, in 2 months. So Muhammad's already bucking the trend of what we expect our champions to be like. But what he is consistent. He's got a great gas tank. He's got a great chin. He's an incredible hard worker. He did half of this training camp once again during Ramadan, so he had to push through, and he's battle-tested. Jack Della Maddalena will have a puncher's chance to win this world title, and this is a very good fight. But I'm still backing that champion who's coming off of a foot injury and a longer layoff than normal. But he's still got the chips on both shoulders. One of the most underrated, underappreciated fighters in the game today. But like he told me, he's got too many skills, too many ways to win. Give me Belal by decision. Okay, you like Belal by decision. Let's get to the co-main. It is the women's flyweight title, Valentina Shevchenko and Manon Fiorot. Now, is perception reality? Because the Beast is actually the betting favorite coming to this one, despite being the challenger, BC. It's interesting. I mean, she's 35 years old, but we consider Fiorot a newbie when it comes to the UFC scene. But what she's done in a short time is defeat everybody they put in front of her and look better the better the competition has been raised. Now, look, does she deserve being the favorite? Her recent run would say yes. She's beaten nothing but former title contenders, title challengers, even some former champions when you consider she went through Rose Namajunas and then took out #1 undefeated, unbeaten Erin Blanchfield to get here. The difference between their two skills, though, is a lot like the main event. Fiorot, you don't want to call her one-dimensional, but she sets the terms of the fight with that karate style. She controls distance so well, and she's such a physical force that it's hard to shake her. You know what you're going to get from Manon Fiorot. The question is, can you slow her down? Can you stop it? That's the challenge to Valentina Shevchenko, a future Hall of Famer, one of the best female fighters in the history of the sport. She is 37 years old. We did see her come back and win her championship back from Alexa Grasso last year. I'm still back in the old decorated champion because experience matters in this game, and so does the fact that even though Fiorot has pieced up many a challenger to get to this point, she has not faced a fighter as complete as Valentina, who has every aspect of the game, including takedowns. I understand Fiorot being the hot hand and the betting favorite, but this feels like a 50-50 fight. Okay, and then lastly here, as we take a look at the cards, good old Jose Aldo
He's going to be a favorite coming into this one here, north of $2 against Ayman Zahibi. So what are we thinking about this bout?
This feels another one of those, why are you putting this great legend in a fight that doesn't really feel like it matters in the bantamweight division? Now, technically, this will be a featherweight fight as both were trending to miss weight, so the UFC raised it to 145 pounds. This is the third fight, though, for Aldo where you just don't understand the matchmaking. He's going against a rising fighter, but not someone that you could look at as a future title challenger or champion in the division. He's kind of just going through the motions. He split wins and losses in his last fight, but there is some chips on his own shoulder from Aldo from that last fight where it was a boring fight. He didn't look great, and he thought the judges got it wrong. So I expect an explosive Aldo against Zahabi, who, yes, riding a 5-fight win streak, but he's 35 years old. He's probably less famous than his more famous brother, the former trainer of Georges St. Pierre over there in Montreal. He's a good fighter. Aldo's still a great one, even at this age, even at 38. And power's the last thing to go. I expect Jose Aldo, the king of Rio, to remind us exactly who he is. Will it lead to a big fight? Tough to tell, but I think Jose deserves better booking and to be in fights that matter a lot more than this one does on paper.
That is championship-level analysis and a championship-level shirt from our one Brian Campbell here on HQ. Thank you, BC. Take a look at the rest of the card. He had mentioned Brasco. She's on this card against Silva after losing Shevchenko there. The champ. So BC going champ this weekend.
We've got two title fights at UFC 315 in Montreal Saturday night. Belal Muhammad making his first title defense as he puts his welterweight championship on the line against Jack Della Maddalena. Muhammad on an 11-fight unbeaten streak, while Della Maddalena on a 17-fight unbeaten streak. Something's got to give. Co-main event features Valentina Shevchenko looking to defend her flyweight championship against Manon Fiorot. Fiorot is on a 12-fight win streak, has not lost a fight since losing her professional debut in June of 2018. In Shevchenko's last fight, she defeated Alexa Grasso to regain the flyweight title. Grasso also on the main card on Saturday fighting Natalia Silva. We'll have full highlights and post-fight reaction Saturday night right here on CBS Sports HQ. Let's put some knowledge in your mind and money in your pocket. For that, we welcome in Sportsline MMA analyst Danny Vithlani. 2 unbeaten streaks and a title on the line in the main event. Last time Jack Della Maddalena lost was in 2016. Muhammad, the favorite here, listed at -188. Danny, whose unbeaten streak continues?
That O has got to go, as they say, Hakeem. And I think that Belal, remember the name Muhammad, can defend his welterweight strap here. Jack Della Maddalena is certainly a worthy title contender. The guy has cracking power in his boxing from both stances. He mixes his punches to the head and body really nicely. I love the way he digs his left hook to the liver. And I could see Belal potentially taking some damage in this fight. But it's those championship caliber X factors that I believe will win him this fight again. Jack Della has never been the full 5-rounder. And I think in those 4th and 5th rounds, if it goes deep, Belal's wrestling, cardio, and toughness will really show out here. Belal's boxing is also much improved. He's been training that Mexican pressure-style boxing with his hands, and we know how much the takedown threat sets up the boxing, right? That boxing defense for your opponent really goes away and goes down a level when it's written all over your face, don't take me down, don't take me down. Della Maddalena has proven himself against some pretty good grapplers, and he's kind of, as my colleague Josh Nagel pointed out on our show, a UFC 315 preview show on the Early Edge, that he's danced through the raindrops in his career. Split decision over Basel Hafez, a tough, hard-nosed wrestler. Split decision, decision over Kevin Holland. And now, after breaking his arm and losing the first 2 rounds to Gilbert Burns, still pulled it out. But I believe that Belal Muhammad's wrestling will be the X factor. Not the jiu-jitsu, but the wrestling, to keep him down on the floor for enough time that he ekes out 3 rounds and wins a 48-47 close decision.
All right, so Danny rolling with the favorite here, Belal, to defend his welterweight belt. We've got another title on the line in the co-main event. Valentina Bullet Shevchenko making her first title defense of her 2nd reign as flyweight champ, facing Manon the Beast Fiorot. Valentina, the underdog in this fight. First time she's been an underdog entering a fight as the defending champ. Fiorot is on a 12-fight win streak. Danny, are you backing the Beast or the Bullet?
think I've got to back the beast, and I think the odds are quite telling. It's pretty crazy to see Valentina Bullet as an underdog, a dominant flyweight, perhaps the flyweight GOAT of the division. But I do think Fior is ready to become the champion. She's a French-Canadian kickboxer who's going to have the hometown crowd in Montreal behind her, and I think she's got the tools to beat Valentina. She's perhaps the best striker that Shevchenko has ever faced, aside from Amanda Nunes, of course. And Fior is just entering her prime. She's got this great physicality to her game. She's going to have a size advantage in this fight. And I think that she can use that rangy kickboxing to control the distance with that side kick and really dictate the tempo of this fight. A lot of her opponents are looking to take her to the mat, and Valentina Shevchenko very successfully wrestled against Alexa Grasso in her last fight to reclaim that flyweight strap. But Fior's takedown defense at 93% is nearly infallible, and she uses her physicality, her Muay Thai plum clinch game as well to really fend off those takedowns. I think that Valentina may be losing a step in the striking. As crazy and almost disrespectful as that is to say, people will forget that before that trilogy against Grasso, where she went 1-1-1, she barely eked out a split decision against Tayla Santos. So as great as the dominant flyweight champ has been, I think Fior is ready to take the mantle.
Well, Valentina has never lost as an underdog, be it a small sample size, 3-0 as an underdog in her UFC career. Now, you mentioned in Shevchenko's last fight, she defeated Alexa Grasso to regain the flyweight title. Grasso on the main card on Saturday fighting Natalia Silva. Danny, who do you like in this flyweight bout?
At these odds, I think I like Alexa Grasso. They seem a little bit out of whack to me, but I don't want to count down Natalia Silva one bit. I'm extremely high on this very talented young kickboxing prospect. Her speed, her agility, her footwork on the outside, and her feinting. She mixes up her MMA game really well. Plus 210, however, though, I think is far too wide. I'm going to give you a little safer way to wager this. Shop around for spreads in the UFC. I like Alexa Grasso plus 3.5, which would imply that she needs to win one round on the judges' scorecards. If she wins this fight or loses a unanimous 29-28, you cash this bet. And I think that she's going to be able to bring that Mexican pressure-style boxing, get aggressive, and try to get in the face of Natalia Silva, who hasn't faced the caliber boxer of Grasso yet. Coming off that trilogy, like I mentioned, against Valentina, going 1-1-1, she looked bad in her last fight. I think a lot of people are going to be down on her because Valentina Shevchenko's wrestling was so on point. She kind of got neutralized and stuck. Mentally, she looked like she didn't know what to do next because she was so afraid of being taken down. And I think that led to an awkward performance. I think she can come out a lot more aggressive against a more pure striker in Silva, who's going to look to kickbox with her and at least steal a round to cover our plus 3.5.
There you go. Bang. Now let's get your best bet for the prelims, Danny. What stands out to you?
This one you guys have to bet. I'm going with Jasmine Jasudavicius to win inside the distance, either by knockout or by submission, and I think she's going to put away Jessica Andrade. Andrade is actually 3 years younger, but this will be her 30th UFC fight, and I think she's worse for the wear after facing some of the most elite flyweight competition in the division. Jasudavicius is a junkyard dog. She's relentless on the ground. She's got nasty jiu-jitsu, jumping that Darce choke, and she never stops punching. So I think Andrade, who has been finished by multiple skilled grapplers like Erin Blanchfield, Tatiana Suarez, and got finished with mounted elbows from crucifix position by Valentina, is likely to get finished in a similar way against Jasudavicius. Plus 170, I think, is a steal. She's a minus 300 betting favorite on the money line. That's, I think her win condition is by finish because 9 of Jessica Andrade's 13 pro losses have come inside the distance. Take her to do it before the judges need to weigh in at all. Jasudavicius is doing work in this fight.
Danny Vithlani, one of the best in the business. Love the energy, love the knowledge, putting knowledge in our mind so we can put some money in our pocket. Danny, appreciate you. And look, if you want more winners, we've got them. You can find more picks and full breakdowns of all MMA cards from Danny, and you can specifically get UFC 315 right now on sportsline.com. You're not a member? That's okay. Sign up using the promo code WINNERS to get 60% off the annual price. Just head to sportsline.com/join or scan the QR code on your screen and win with Sportsline.